Welcome to Speed and Color, a podcast and YouTube channel about custom motorcycle culture. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to get all the latest content. You can also follow Speed and Color on Instagram. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hi there. Welcome to Speed and Color. And if you're back again, welcome back to Speed and Color. Today's episode, a little bit of background for you. In 2024, I was at the Bad Livin' Roadshow, and I met a group of young people, young riders, really into choppers and bobbers and stuff. They call themselves Queen Street Motorcycles. And it's not you got to be so careful these days with the political terms. It's not a club. I guess you'd maybe call it a group. Anyway, it's a group of young people, mainly guys. Certainly guys are the riders. There's some gals that hang around with them. But great group of young people that are just super passionate about motorcycles. A lot of metric choppers. Some Harleys in the group, quite a mix, and pretty much anything goes. Man, these people just have so much fun together. They ride together, they party together. They might party a little bit too much, but they party together and they have a lot of fun, and it's really cool to see. And for an old guy like me, it makes me optimistic about the future. When we're seeing the motorcycle industry struggling, especially in North America, I think, rider numbers are probably going down. Certainly our chopper culture, it's, I don't know if it's getting a lot smaller, but it certainly has the potential to go that way. And it's just great to see a bunch of young people like this involved and excited and wanting to do their thing. So I have another episode coming up, more about Queen Street Motorcycles. But in this episode, I really wanted to highlight one of the builders. And this young man, his creative process, his thought process, his vision, I find really exceptional. It takes me back to the days of, George Barris and Ed Roth and, those guys, and builds like, the Batmobile, the Monkey Mobile, the Munster Coach, and of course, my favorite custom ever, the Boot Hill Express, that kind of stuff. And, you go back to Ed Roth's stuff and the Mysterian and the Orbitron, and just the creativity and kind of the unleashed vision. Today, I think today we're kind of sanitized. A lot of the customs are very clean and structured, and I don't know, sterilized maybe is a word to use. But back in the days of like I say, Big Daddy Roth, those guys, man, it was wide open. The creations were just wild, impractical, totally, but really free thinking, and kind of crazy. And this young man strikes me the same way. And, I know there's going to be some criticism of the build, and that's fair. I think that Geoff would admit that, it's a little bit raw. It's not maybe as finished as other stuff is these days. But it's cool, and the process is there, and to see a young man learning to, and it could be a young woman, don't get me wrong, but to see somebody learning how to weld and how to fabricate and how to paint, I think it's really good stuff. I'm excited about it. So I'm going to introduce you to Geoff Borg. Cool young guy. You're going to have to forgive that we didn't use microphones on this. I actually sent the camera to Geoff and let him do his own recordings. Geoff may need to learn a few things about framing shots and doing stuff like that. But bottom line is, we captured the content, the essence. We know we're going to get to know Geoff, and we're going to get to know the motorcycle, and that's what's really important. Whether it was framed perfectly or not really doesn't matter. The sound I've made as good as I possibly could. GoPro mics are amazing, and Final Cut Pro, boy oh boy, the magic analysis on sound in Final Cut Pro, again, just sure helps out with this kind of production. So again, accept it for what it is. This is Geoff Borg presenting his build, and I want to thank Geoff for taking the time to do it. And it's not an easy thing to put yourself on camera. I know from personal experience, you don't just jump in at a comfort level. You have to build up to it. Geoff did a great job of putting himself out there and giving it a shot, and really appreciate it. And I'm sure we're going to see more of them. So here we go. This is Geoff Borg and his CB750 chopper. Thanks for watching.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my brain. Oh. Oh, shit. Alright. Yeah. Alright. How's it going? My name is Geoffrey Borg. I live in Milton, Ontario. I'm a member of Queen Street Moto, and these are my bikes. Just before we get started in the video, just showing these bikes off, I'd like to give a quick thank you to Bruce from Speed and Color. We like to show these bikes off. Chops are pretty cool, so it's nice we can help each other out, get this content out, and have fun with it. Help each other out that way. So this is my technically 2002 Yamaha V-Star 650, dubbed Black Cherry. It's a full chop. I mean, the only thing that's really OEM is the drivetrain and the front end. Pretty much everything else has been touched. Fender, tank, frame, like custom sissy bar, 8-inch slugs in the front end. I don't know if you guys remember, this bike was previously on one of Bruce's podcasts, The Last Bad Living 2024. It's had quite the makeover, and to get into that specifically, the reason why I call it a technically 2002 Yamaha V-Star 650 is because this is actually a Frankenstein mixed with a 2014 Yamaha. So last a couple weeks ago, or whenever that was, I went to Strange Days in the US in New York State, and on the way back blew the motor on this. So I figured what a better time to revamp the whole bike. So pretty much the only thing that is 2002 still is the frame, the tubes, the front wheel, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is 2014. The triple tree, risers, full motor, drivetrain, and first thing, I do apologize. This thing is kind of disgusting. I just got back from a trip. So, but at least I ride it, right? So, can't show me for that. But, perfect thing about Jap chops, I know they kind of get a lot of flack because it's not a Harley. But, I would like to see you shove, 12 parts that are 12 years newer on a bike and have no issues. Everything else, everything I got from that 2014 slipped on this frame, no problem. Triple tree, motor mounts are all the same, rear wheel, like everything is absolutely the same. I did the whole swap in a day and a half. So yeah, this thing went together pretty easily. It has so from factory, these come with a, let me just pick it up here. Let me see here. Ooh, fuck. Shit. So, from factory, these do come with a dual carb, but this one specifically, now I did not do the swap. When I bought the engine for the whole bike, the swap was already done. It has a custom 2-into-1 manifold with a Harley CV carb on it. Now this carb is a repop, it's not an authentic CV carb, but it works the exact same way. And, I got to work out some kinks with it, because this is a new setup for me. Got to rework the carb, jetting and all that for the new pipes and stuff. I will be adding new pipes on this. The pipes are really just OEM style pipes, just kind of chopped, so they sound better. Yeah, no, honestly, like this thing, it rides good, it sounds good. So it's still a work in progress, but then again, I did only finish this thing a week ago. Now moving back to the sissy bar, I broke my old sissy bar coming back from New York. So, I made this new one. It's out of, stainless steel, square stock. I think that's how you'd say it. It's got an iron cross brake light there. It is pretty tall. It's a little taller than me. And, yeah, it's probably one of the nicest sissy bars I've made. So, just to kind of go over the paint scheme really quick. It's a little hard to see behind the wall of dust. But the frame, I did paint the frame a Strawberry Fields red. And the tank, I did paint the tank. I was going to do originally just a flat black. Maybe like a matte or a semi-gloss, but you know how it goes last minute. I was at Canadian Tire and I was looking at the spray paint aisle, and I saw this cool like an oil rubbed copper. So that's what I have finished on the tank, the fender, and the headlight mount. Kind of adds a nice cool contrast. It's like a dark metallic silver with a copper hue to it. Yeah, so this whole tank frame, it's all rattle can. I love rattle can, I will die on that hill. I just think it's such a good cheap alternative, and honestly, if you do it correct, prep, finishing and all that, good clear coat, you can have it look like $1 million. Of course, this thing's still rough around the edges, because I do beat the hell out of this thing, so I try not to spend too much time and money on this thing. Though it does look miles better than how it looked last year when it was in that video. Yeah, no, I really swear by that. I try to save money whenever I can, so yeah, it's a great option. So, this is my other chop, my technically latest one. I know I just finished that one, but this has definitely not been around in the garage as long. This is my 81 Honda CB750 S Sport. It is fully chopped. Probably the only thing left from the CB750 is the motor. And the wheel, the rear wheel, rear brake setup. That's pretty much it. So I don't even know where I can start on this thing. It's quite the looker. I think to start, when I had an idea of building a full ground up build shop, I think I just wanted to really run wild. I think I went fairly ambitious with my first project, real project. I am proud of how this turned out, although some spots I think I could definitely do a lot better. But that's learning, right? It's the beauty of all this, and really, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, considering. So yeah, I really tried to stress the boundaries. I wanted to find kind of like the breaking point, the threshold point for a lot of things. I think one of the things that definitely grabs people's attention is the 6.5 foot long rigid front end I custom made on this thing. So I try to budget as much as I can, whatever I can't, whatever I can build, I do. I try to buy as little possible. If I have to buy it, then I'll buy it really, really cheap, or at least as cheap as I possibly can. So the front end, start off, the triple tree for this front end is a Kawasaki Vulcan front end, a 2001 Kawasaki Vulcan 800. I've always been a sucker for the wide glide fronts. So, I really wanted to kind of capture that, put a nice big wide front end on this. They come with pretty slim fronts. So I just wanted to see, maybe I could fit a different front end on this. Now, again, kind of going back to the whole idea of the Frankenstein build, like what I did with the Yamaha there. I really love to see, experiment what can work, what might not work. And definitely what was, quite the experiment, and I think worked out beautifully, was this this Kawasaki Vulcan 800 front end that I slipped onto this Honda CB750 frame. Believe it or not, it slipped right on there. I think that is the absolute beauty of Japanese chops. You can get different parts from different brands, and if you look hard enough, something might just fit right on. So the plus about these specific front ends is the bottom tree is steel. So I was able to weld the tubes on how you normally would do a rigid front. For the tubes, I just bought off Amazon, actually, believe it or not. I just bought some, I think it was 1 5/8" round stock, some tube, and I did sleeve it. I got a buddy to custom make the rockers. I custom made the front axle, custom made the wheel spacers. This whole front end is absolutely custom. All the way from top to bottom. Now, this front wheel here is probably, I think, maybe not one of the ballsiest things I've done with this chop here, but I think it's definitely a bit of a risky decision. I know there's some purists out there that definitely wouldn't like a very 90s wheel mixed with an 80s bike. For anyone that's curious, this is like a 90s style 21-inch full aluminum Sturgis wheel. I got this for $200 at a swap meet. So I had a different wheel in mind, but I couldn't pass this up when I saw it, especially how ridiculous it looked. I think it would fit just fine on this chop, considering the whole ridiculous nature of this bike. Just for some little aesthetic pieces to the whole build, I have this pretty wicked looking pointy rectangle Erlen Ness mirror. I really like it. I think it matches the tank. My buddy Graham, shout out to Almost Old School, sold me that at a swap meet, and I wasn't planning to have a mirror on this build, but I think it looks pretty sick, and one of those cool little small pieces that just match really, really well. Also moving down to the chain stop for the triple tree. Shout out to Halorization. Love this little Odin bell I got. When she gave that to me, I absolutely knew. I'm like, this had to go on this build, and I think it looks amazing. Moving down the bike to the shifter setup. I got this I guess skull with German cap shift knob. Custom painted it, just absolutely powdered it in glitter and clear coat. And it's got this cool, like, drippy, melty effect to it, and I think it matches this bike perfectly. It's kind of funky looking. Being in Queen Street, our logo is this a skull with a crown, and we wear German caps, so I thought that shift knob was just kind of perfect. It matches great. So to go with the whole control system part of this, on top of the triple tree, I went with just a set of like $50 beach bars I got at a swap meet. cleaned them up all right. I think they looked okay. I definitely think I knew I had to pick a set of very realistic bars for this bike, just considering the kind of aggression of the whole setup of this build. I think what was perfect, an idea just to go with some very simple beach bars, just to keep everything very practical. For grips, I have some solid brass grips. I thought just a little hint of gold and stuff in this build with pair really nice with the purple and the pink. To match those, I have some solid brass dog bone risers. I got these for like $90 off eBay. And I've been wanting those for a while. I think they look absolutely perfect on this build. I'm using every strength I have to not pull these off and put them on my Yamaha because I think they look that good. But I guess I'll just have to buy another set. For the clutch lever, I just have a nice sort of horn style clutch lever off Lowbrow Customs. If you ever watch Easy Rider, it's the same one. I like that design. I figured it just kind of looked a little wicked, matched the whole aesthetic for this bike. And then, to keep it retro, I just went with a simple square headlight. With just a custom triple tree mount. So I guess quickly moving to the back here, I have the stock rear wheel set up with the stock brake and disc. Again, going back to my points before, I tried to save money whenever I can. And the whole rear brake setup worked just fine, so I felt like there was no need to replace all of it. I ended up, so this wheel is an 18-inch, I believe. I've always loved these old retro 60s style Moon Eyes Moon discs. So this is probably one of the few pieces that I actually spent a little bit of money on for this job here. And they are meant for a 16-inch wheel, but so there's a little bit of gap there, but I think it looks pretty cool. That's all I did. For the rubber, front to back, I have like a Shinko Baja tire. I think that just captures like a very 70s aesthetic with the Baja tires on like an old Iron Head or something. I just think that look is super cool, and it also makes this bike very functional. As ridiculous as it is, I still wanted it to be somewhat rideable on different terrains and whatnot. So to me, those old tractor tires and salt flat tires just weren't really an option as good as they look. So for some of the drivetrain aspects of this bike, I think that makes it fairly unique. I did get these twin Mikunis. There's a manifold that wides into a single. These bikes do come with a quad carb, but this very specific generation is a bit of a pain in the ass to tune. So I figured just for the tuning aspect, performance aspect, and the aesthetic aspect, I figured the dual Mikunis would look fantastic on this. And I can't complain. I think they look awesome. For the exhaust portion of the drivetrain, I figured, why not go balls to the wall, and I went with a 100% custom bespoke, I guess you could say, quad fish tip dump design up the front with the heat wrap. I just thought that would be absolutely insane. I did put baffles in this. It is stupid loud still, believe it or not. And I just wanted to try and pick something that I've just never seen before. And it turns quite the heads, and it sounds ridiculous. So I definitely can't complain. I was nervous about how that would operate, just with the very short pipes, lack of back pressure. But so far, I haven't run into any issues, and I'm very pleased with how they turned out. Moving on to the middle here, the shifting aspect of this build. I do love suicide shifts, although I know they're not overly functional sometimes, or comfortable. So what I did specifically for this bike, because it is, just by looks, quite the handful to ride around, I made a custom shift linkage that transfers the shifter from the left side to the right side. So your jockey shift is on the throttle side, And that way you can still have the operable hand clutch on there, making it pretty user-friendly, all things considered. That way you can just pick a gear, take right off. You know, you're not messing around with the foot clutch and everything. You're not having to balance on one foot or anything. Makes things a lot easier, I think. On the side here for the foot peg setup, you can imagine on that side there's no shifter because it's right here. But I do have a single foot brake on this side, going to a master cylinder that goes to the brake caliper there. Using some of the stock pieces and making some custom ones, I was able to make this stock brake setup here with this neat but very dangerous foot lever, and kind of, you know, custom modifying these foot pegs that I got from Glory Days last year. I believe these are off a shovel head or a pan head or something. And, you know, I just made some custom mounts on the frame. They bolted right on. I did kind of modify them a bit so they could fit more to this bike. Just because originally I did have them up here, but that was just absolutely insane. And I'm not a tall guy, but that just wasn't rideable. So I did end up modifying them and then changing the whole brake lever there. So that's all custom done. For the upholstery on the seat, I decided to go for something super cool, super 70s. You know, I'm a big Leonard Skinner fan. I love shaggin' wagons. 70s aesthetic, I think, is just some of the absolute best out there. So I decided to go with some, to match the bike, I wanted to do something kind of out there. So I went with some women's pink corduroy pants, and I actually cut the tag off and stitched it on there. Just, you know, thought it'd be a nice little touch. This is completely custom. You know, my first seat I've ever done. I think it's actually turned out pretty cool, all things considered. And kind of to go with some more 70s aesthetic, some shaggin' wagon aesthetic. I finished it off with some purple shag carpet underneath the seat, and I think that just looks rad. You know, me and my buddies were joking. It looks like a chick's got bush. So, so I just think that looks so rad, and it really kind of makes this bike stand out among the rest. And I absolutely love this seat. To go with some more old school aesthetic, I'm just an absolute huge fan of molded in anything. I think it looks great when it's done well, and I'm still working out the kinks of that for myself. You know, I think it just looks absolutely rad to have a full molded in frame. It just flows so nice, and especially when you pair that up with a wicked paint job, I think you just have a fantastic looking shop. So starting in the front, I made some custom add-ons to the frame, so I squared it off here and kind of built it out into a triangle shape. And then I had it come out into these little fins here on both sides. And then it kind of carries over into a single chain stop for the triple tree. I just thought that'd be kind of a cool touch. I already had the idea of doing a single chain stop for the triple tree, and I just thought if I made the bodywork tie into that nicely and make it kind of flow with the frame, I think that'd be awesome. And moving on to the tank, it is a fully molded in tank, front to back. So it is the first ever custom molded in tank that I've done. Definitely made quite a few mistakes on this, but honestly, you know, you're never going to get it first try. You know, I think the absolute beauty of working on these bikes and building these bikes is, you know, just kind of stretching your skills. I love body work. I think it looks fantastic when someone pulls it off correctly and does a nice job on it. And, you know, I just really wanted to give it a shot, you know, whether I absolutely butchered it or not. You know, I think you always kind of have to fuck shit up to get good at it, right? So, yeah, I mean, for my first build, doing a ton of body work, ton of molded stuff, I really think I pulled it off quite nicely. And before I move on with the whole frame design and stuff, if you're curious, the paint I did for this bike is actually a model car paint. Comes in those little small cans. I don't know if I have a spare can around to show the camera, But yeah, I went through quite a few of those. It was definitely a pain in the ass. Definitely not cheap either, but had fun with it. I love the color. It's an electric pink. When I found the name of the color, I just automatically knew I had to pick it. It just sounded super rad, and I'm super pleased with how it turned out. I think it just pops, has a nice metallic look to it. And paired up with this nice metallic purple, I think it just looks absolutely sweet. Has some nice contrast to the color. The pink would have looked great on its own, but I think having the purple kind of adding a bit of depth to the framework and the bodywork and everything, it really kind of makes it pop and stand out. So, moving to the back, I'm absolutely in love with those 70s like Honda Digger style bikes where everything's just molded, got very angular fender and whatnot. So I knew I had to give that a shot for my build. And so what I ended up doing was I made a frame out of round stock, and then I just plated everything over, kind of filled in all the gaps and welded everything up, and did probably a little too much grinding for my liking, but honestly, the bodywork and the finished product, I think it turned out absolutely great considering it's my first time, and I think the rear end is probably one of my favorite parts of this bike, just how seamless it looks. And considering, I didn't use any lasers or anything, and I just kind of eyeballed everything, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. The nice faded purple with the pink and these straight lines. I think it looks phenomenal. I built it around the wheel, so everything, all the fitment with the fender and the wheel and the tire is very, very, very tight, but not too much. Just enough where it looks absolutely perfect, and I love it. For the center here, I do have an old school kind of like octagon shaped Harley oil bag that I made some slight modifications to and turned it to my my battery box, since these bikes they don't use an oil bag. And I just thought, I found this for like $20 at a swap meet, cleaned it up a bit, added a whole new bracket and support system for it so it didn't rattle off or break or crack or anything. And I think it just looked absolutely sick. The whole angular design just the whole look of the battery box or oil tank in that case. I think it just matched this bike perfectly, and I think it was such a $1 million find for this. I absolutely love, stuff like that. Basically building this whole bike was just, finding different things and, not collecting all the parts all at once. It was really just quite the experience, getting together all the parts and kind of figuring out how to make all this stuff. And kind of just making everything match in its own unique way. I think that was just a lot of fun, and probably the most fun I had, with this whole build. And that's just why I love any build, really. Overall, this bike is still a work in progress. I'm still tweaking some things here and there and fixing some things. I think anyone that knows, that really builds these, I think they understand it never really ends. This has been going, this project had kind of progressed slowly over, I would say, a two-year period. I think I bought this bike in summer of 2023. So it's definitely been quite a bit, working on this thing. Never thought it'd take me that long. I always, before I really got into this stuff, I always talked to people about their builds and how long it took, just out of curiosity. And, when people say a build takes them, at least a couple years at a time, that kind of baffled me. I never really could fathom how someone could take like a couple years doing something, but, one bike. But after doing this, I definitely understand that. But as much as it was frustrating, there are definitely very frustrating parts of building a custom shop. I also think I went fairly ambitious for my very first real build. I regret none of it. It was every hour, every bit of it was an absolute learning experience. Mistakes or no mistakes. I would do it all again. Won't know if I did, I'd do it right. But yeah, you know, I just another shout. I want to give a shout out to Geoff at Perth County Moto for supplying some of the parts that went on this bike. You know, you got to support local, and without them, you know, without local guys supplying us parts and whatnot, especially the pricing of things online now, you know, it'd be definitely pretty hard to get stuff done without them. So that is my 1981 CB750 F Sport, shop dubbed Attitude. I think you can kind of get the idea why I named this bike Attitude. Just building this thing, I probably ran into every basic issue you could. And with the flashy nature and all the aesthetic pieces on this bike, I think that was probably the perfect name for it. Definitely gets off quite a bit of attitude. I just want to give a quick shout out to Bruce of Speed and Color again. You know, I like making these videos. They're fun. Me and the guys at Quincy Moto, we love making these videos and showing off our bikes. Choppers are probably the best thing in the world, and I think more people should understand that and really get to love it the way we do. It really is a passion project and a labor of love doing this, and you know, too bad we don't get paid for it.